What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Auto Auction Rebuilds. Today, we are back with a brand new car and a very rare one, a 2016 Cadillac ELR. That stands for Electric Luxury Roadster. Never heard of it? Well, you've probably never seen one either. So here it is, the 2016 the 2016 Cadillac ELR. Yes, it is a Chevy Volt, a Gen 1 Chevy Volt with a pretty nice appearance package. If I do say so myself, this car looks absolutely sick. It really does. And if you're going to get a Cadillac ELR, you're only going to be able to purchase one from a 2014 model year or a 2016 model year. These cars were so expensive and nobody bought them. They discontinued the model for 2015. So if you're going to buy one, it's 2014 or 2016. You will not find a 2015 Cadillac ELR. And if you are going to buy one, 2016 is the year to get one, because there are some substantial differences from the 2016 and the 2014s, including a 29% increase in horsepower and torque. We'll get into those numbers later. Obviously, this is going to have upgraded handling. This has a computer-controlled suspension, which is really nice. I think they call it hyper suspension. You've got the Cadillac Q with Apple CarPlay. That was a big deal. OnStar with 4G LTE capability and Wi-Fi hotspot. And you have an available performance package, which this one does not have. There's a lot of interior upgrades, a lot of technology upgrades, including the power output, which I said we were going to get to. So let me tell you what the horsepower and torque numbers are on this thing. So the power output of this car is a little complicated because this is not a fully electric vehicle. This is not a fully gas vehicle. It is a hybrid, a plug-in hybrid, and it has dual electric motors. The 0 to 60 time is 6.4 seconds, which is way better than the first gen ELR. It was over 8 seconds. The horsepower of the 1.4 liter engine in this car is 84 horsepower, and the engine is not for driving. The engine is a range extender. It actually charges the battery, runs the inverter to drive the electric motors. This car does not operate on gas alone. Top speed on this car is all of 106 miles an hour, but you can do 130 if you tune it or if you have the performance package. And then the total horsepower and torque numbers are 233 horsepower and 373 foot-pounds of torque from dual motors. This vehicle does require premium unleaded. I know, that's kind of crazy, right? The gasoline engine is supposed to be able to get around 32 miles a gallon on its own, but I've been seeing 34 to 36 miles a gallon, as you can see currently, with no issue. And that is gas only because my battery is not functioning currently. I cannot charge this car, which is why I got it so cheap. But if the batteries are functioning, you should be able to get over 80 EMPGs. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you real quick on this screen here. If we scroll up, you can see over the last 4,000 miles, this car has averaged 104.9 miles a gallon. That's right, 104.9 miles a gallon in a car with all of these beautiful features and amenities. This car has the full leather dash. It has the Alcantara headliner, Alcantara on the pillars. I mean, Alcantara everywhere. Of course, the full leather seats. You've got a beautiful center console right here. You can cover up your cup holders and you could open them, and man, just look at this. You got a power point right here. You got a console here with a couple USB ports and another power point in there as well. You've got the key for the wheels, which is really nice. You have a glove box that, well, you can't find the button. Well, that's because it's up here. Bingo. And in here, we've got all of the original books. This car only has 60,000 miles, and you've got a nice little hidey hole compartment right there with wireless charging and another USB port. Thankfully, the Q experience in this car works very, very well. Here's your OnStar right here, and you have your garage door openers. You've got this beautiful steering wheel. I mean, this is a very luxurious car, guys. 62,795 miles on the odometer of this car. I'm going to open the trunk. We're going to open the hood. and I'm going to show you everything that there is to know about this car. Starting with the trunk, it's an interesting trunk. It's got this kind of wide mouth. There's very little bumper or anything sticking out. Plenty of room, really, to get suitcases or anything in there. It's relatively deep. I mean, it goes pretty far back in there, guys. And under here, you have a little place to store your charger, which would be the Voltec charger. This is the OEM original charger, and it does work. But like I said, unfortunately, when I plug the car in, it will not charge. Under here, looks like you've got a couple battery terminals. Yep. So that's where your low voltage battery would be. You've got an air compressor, which is really nice, and it's got the goop in it for plugging up a flat tire, and then a little bit of storage back there as well. And if you lift this up, well, there's nothing under there, just more plastics. Let's get this out of here. Over here is where your fireman's loop is. So if, you know, the car were to catch on fire or something, or get in a bad collision, you would cut that. Under the hood, well, this is going to be your, what is it, 86 horsepower, 1.4 liter generator. That's right, generator. Do not confuse this with an actual gasoline engine that drives the car, because it does not do that. It's just a little tiny 1.4 liter multi-port fuel injection engine. Not much to speak of on that. Over here is your Cadillac inverter. They were real nice to put Cadillac, you know, just so you know, it's not a Chevy Volt. It is a Cadillac. You'll hear the engine running most of the time because, well, the engine's having to run the inverter to power the entire car. There's a couple things about these. Number one, you'll see this coolant level is really low. And that is most likely why the battery system is not charging on this car. You can't use just regular coolant on the battery. It takes a special type of Dexcool that's deionized. If you use any other type, you're going to damage the battery. So you'll notice they put this little metal ring around it, so you can't loosen this cap without taking this apart. Now, you could bend this out of the way, but we're not going to be doing any of that, guys. I believe that this car is still under warranty. I think the person that sold it was not aware of it. This is a two-owner car. It has that pearlescent white paint. It's got the 20-inch wheels with Michelin Pilot, what are they? Pilot AS3 Plus tires. These tires are dated 2020. You've got your charging port right here. This is where you would typically plug in. And you've got your gasoline on the other side over here. It's currently locked. If you unlock it, you can get into it. It's got Sirius XM, Bose Premium Audio. I mean, this thing is just, it's loaded to the gills. And take a look at the back seat. Two captain's chairs with a big center console. I believe, I could be wrong, let's shut that off. But I believe that the person that sold this car was not aware that it should still be under warranty. Otherwise, they would have taken to Cadillac and had it fixed. Well, they didn't. Instead, they sold it for next to nothing. Just for fun, I went to Carvana and I got a quote on what they would give me for this car. In good running and driving condition, with no service engine lights or anything, Carvana offered me $20,800 for this car. Almost $21,000. I bought this car for $12,500 bucks. Now that probably seems like a lot of money for a car from 2016, especially something that nobody bought. The reason they didn't buy it is because brand new this car was around $75,000. And Cadillac couldn't sell them. Somebody made a big mistake, a huge mistake when they built this car, and they thought they were going to be able to sell it for 75 grand. Nobody bought it. So in 2015, they had a bunch of leftover units that they had to liquidate, and they kept doing lots of incentives to sell them, lots of discounts, rebates, and incentives to get rid of these cars. And honestly, I would never have paid anywhere near 75 grand for this car. This particular car should have been right around $65,000. Now, I've actually been enjoying the Q experience on this car. It's really interesting. You can push this button to take you over to your, basically your flow meter for energy. If I hit the gas, I've got it turned off, don't I? There we go. You can clearly see the battery lights up green, the inverter lights up green, but you can clearly see the battery's empty. There's nothing. You cannot charge this. You can click the charging button and it simply says not able to charge. So there you go. I have been driving this car. I've actually put about 250 miles on it already, and I haven't put any juice in it because you can't charge it. It's not possible to charge this car, and yet I've still been able to drive it. So that was one of the things I was kind of concerned about, is there a point where the battery gets so bad that the car will not drive anymore? Can I be left stuck on the side of the road? And so far, the answer to that question is no. Even with the battery completely shot, and I don't want to say the battery's not shot, it's the high voltage charging side that is not functioning. And even without being able to charge the battery, the car still drives because the engine, the gasoline engine, is providing the juice to the inverter to run the motors. So yes, you can still drive this. I've been driving the living crap out of it, and I've seen easily 34 to 36 miles a gallon from this car. No issue at all. So it has an appointment tomorrow at Cadillac, and that's going to be the second part of this video. This car comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. This car was originally put into service in March of 2016, which means it should still be under the factory warranty until March of 2024. It is right now the end, I should say, of January 2024. So it should still be under warranty with only 62,000 miles on the odometer. So we're going to take it to Cadillac tomorrow. We're going to do a whole video about it. We're going to find out if they're going to honor the warranty. If they are, what's it take to fix it? And if they're not, what are they going to charge me to fix it? And then we may just have to bring it back and fix it ourselves, because I think I could fix this myself for about $10 or $15. So why don't we take this car for a ride, and I'm going to tell you about the driving experience. See, right there it said Service High Voltage System. It's got a beautiful boot-up screen. I love this car. My Tesla has been sitting in the garage, and I mean, granted, I need to put it back together, but I have been enjoying this car so much that I don't even miss the Tesla at all, and I'm not kidding. I really, really love driving this car. Now, yes, the check engine light is on, but there's only 2 codes, and both of them are related to the high voltage system not being able to charge. And again, I really think this is going to be an easy fix. If it's not, though, if Cadillac has to replace the battery in this car under warranty, the battery is around $25,000. Yes, $25,000 for them to replace it. Now, I know what a lot of you are going to be saying. That's crazy. That's ridiculous. I would never own a vehicle like that. I would never, ever, ever spend that kind of money on a battery. Well, here's the good news. You don't have to. All right. There are now third-party companies that are producing new technology batteries for this car, and you can buy a brand new battery ready to roll for between $6,000 and $9,000. And yes, that includes a warranty as well. Now, I know that's still a lot of money, but you're talking about a car that is very rare. There were only 530 of these Cadillacs produced for 2016, and there's only 3,000 of these ever produced. Probably somewhere around 2,800 of these ever were made. So this is an exceptionally rare Cadillac. It was their attempt at breaking into the hybrid/electric vehicle segment of the automotive industry. And I'm going to tell you, they did really good. Yes, it is a rebadged and dressed up Chevy Volt, but it does not drive nor handle like a Chevy Volt. It's got plenty of oomph, plenty of power to get up and go. Yes, 0 to 60 in 6 seconds is slow, but it's not really that bad. It beats a Prius any day of the week. Here's the voltage meter where you can watch everything, how the system is working, the inverter and the engine supplying power to the battery, although the battery will never take a charge, and just like that, it's gone. It's completely depleted, and you can see the engine doing all of the work to provide power to the dual electric motors. Now, one of the sad things about this car is how rare it is. That means that parts availability for this specific car is going to be very, very limited. Supply and demand, right? There's probably going to be a lot of people needing parts, and there's not going to be a whole lot of parts for this specific car. With that said, it's a Chevy Volt. So most of the stuff under the car, most of the powertrain, the battery itself, the motors, even though it has more power than a Chevy Volt, it's all done by software. The rest of the car is literally a Chevy Volt. This screen is absolutely amazing, very intuitive, it's easy to understand. Your battery stuff is on the left, your gasoline engine stuff is on the right, your range is in the lower right, and your EV range is in the lower left. Shows you what gear you're in, your tank of gas is on the right, and your battery level's on the left. As you can see, it's completely empty. Everything on this car works as it should. It's very quiet, aside from road noise, but keep in mind, the road that I'm on, it's a really bad road, guys. This is a horrible, horrible road out here. Generally speaking, it's a very quiet car, and a lot of people have had complaints about the engine noise being too much to bear. It's too loud. Well, I'm going to stop talking, and I want you to remember this car is running on the gasoline engine. The battery is not actually doing anything right now. So the engine's running the car, so listen closely and you tell me when I hit the gas, I'm gonna really give it the beans, you tell me if it's too loud. Ready? Here we go. That's floored. That is floored. You can see the engine icon on the right doing all the work. I don't know about you, and I didn't hear anything. So the people that claim that the engine is too loud, I think I know what they're talking about. If you're at low speeds and the gasoline engine is running, yes, you can hear it. But with any gas car, you'll hear the engine anyway. To me, it is not intrusive. It doesn't bother me. It's not super loud. I don't see the problem, but there are people out there that have had big complaints over the noise of the engine. If anything, my biggest complaint is the road noise from the wheels. But again, the difference in road construction makes a huge difference in the noise intruding into the cabin. This crappy road with potholes and stuff all over it, this is one of those roads that's like, it's just a bunch of rocks dropped onto the street with like tar or something underneath it, you know what I mean? It's a really rough road. Now obviously this car has no problems running and driving. I've been driving it for at least 2 days, maybe 3, and I've put over 200 miles on it. So the car itself runs, drives just like it's supposed to. Air conditioning works, heat works, all of the touch controls work, cruise control, everything on this car functions exactly the way it's supposed to, with the exception of the high voltage charging system. So for what I paid for it, $12,500, this is a steal of a deal, because I believe that Cadillac is going to fix it. I do. I think Cadillac is going to have to go through it. They're going to have to double check and make sure the battery is okay, and if it's not, they're going to have to replace it. But if Cadillac won't fix the problem, I think I know how to fix it myself. And if you're wondering how, well, remember I showed you the coolant level was low earlier, and I know what you're thinking. Who cares? Coolant levels are low all the time on all kinds of cars. Doesn't make any difference. This particular car is very, very, very finicky about the coolant level. If the coolant is not above the black label on that coolant reservoir in one of these cars, it will stop charging. Period. It will not charge. If you buy the deionized coolant and you fill it back up to that level just above the black label on the reservoir, generally speaking, these cars start charging again with no problems. It's that simple to fix. But there's a technical service bulletin with General Motors about this very issue, and they will most likely go in and reprogram both of the battery modules. There's one battery, it's the shape of a T, but it has 2 modules inside of it, and they basically have to do a recalibration of the battery. So generally speaking, these cars are fixed not with replacing the battery or expensive components. Most of the time you can fix this problem by adding coolant and recalibrating the modules. Now, if it's under warranty, all of that should be done for free. If they're not going to honor the warranty, it shouldn't cost more than a couple $100 to have them reprogram the modules. And it is very important, because these batteries are getting older, it's important that you go into Cadillac and you have these battery modules reprogrammed to the latest software. If you don't, you will most likely end up with charging issues down the road. So just save yourself the trouble, go to Cadillac, pay the $200, have the modules updated. And for God's sake, keep your eye on your coolant level, man, because it doesn't tell you that you're low on coolant. It doesn't tell you that. I don't think they expect people to get under the hood and actually work on these. But as these cars get older, and as parts become less and less available, more people are going to be forced to work on these cars. And I know what you're thinking. Isn't it dangerous? Working on anything is dangerous. All right, but if you take the necessary precautions and you do a little research and you learn how to fix things, you can do it yourself. Worst case scenario, you need a battery, right? That's end of the world for one of these cars, because Cadillac does not produce the battery anymore. It's not the end of the world. Go to a third party, Google it. Buy the new battery with the updated cells for 10 grand. All right, do it yourself in your garage. Changing a battery is easier than changing most engines. Changing a drive motor is easier than changing most transmissions. This stuff is not hard, guys. People think that electric cars are just really complicated. They're hard to work on. I'm telling you, they are really not. They're modular in design. They're designed to be able to be repaired quickly, in and out. So if Cadillac won't fix it, well, then we'll fix it ourselves, because I love driving this car. Now, before I bought this car, I did a lot of research on it, because I knew from the listing on ACV Auctions that it had a high voltage battery problem, or a charging issue. I knew that. It even showed what codes were present from the check engine light. So I was able to look it up, and it took me all of 10 minutes to do enough research to figure that I could fix this myself for probably next to nothing. Now, there's a lot of people that think that this Cadillac is fast. They think it's a sports car. I'm here to tell you it's not fast. I have a Tesla P85 in the garage. Even it's not technically fast. That car does 0 to 60 in right about 4 seconds. This one does 0 to 60 in just over 6 seconds. So it's not fast. Is it quick? Yes, because it's a single speed motor, because it basically has instant torque all the time. It feels fast, but it's not. It's quick enough. It definitely will outrun a Prius. It definitely looks way cooler than any other hybrid on the market. When it comes to hybrids, I think Cadillac absolutely nailed it, but they made a huge mistake by undermarketing it and overvaluing it, and unfortunately, they killed the car. The car had nothing to do with it. These things are great. They're pretty damn reliable. They're easy to work on. It's a Chevy Volt. It just looks way cooler. But it also comes with a much higher price tag. I've been looking at Chevy Volts online. I've been thinking about buying one just to compare and contrast the two vehicles side by side. And I can buy a Chevy Volt from this generation with, you know, maybe 20, 30,000 more miles on it for around $6,000, $7,000. Well, this car I got cheap for $12,500, and if you go looking around retail for one of these, you will find them for over $20,000. That's right. And like I said, you really want the 2016 if you can find them. But remember, they only made just over 500 of these in 2016. So I currently own a very rare car. You're going to find a lot of 2014s, and I'm going to tell you right now, they are probably great cars as well, but they have less power, they have less torque, they're not as efficient, they don't have this adaptive dampening suspension system that this one has. They're just nowhere near as good as this. But if I could not get my hands on a 2016, I would absolutely go out and buy a 2014, just because the car looks so cool. It doesn't look like any other Cadillac out there. It's so short. The wheelbase is literally tiny. It looks like a small car, but when you're in it, it feels like you're driving something bigger. There's plenty of room. It maneuvers and handles like a really big, heavy sports car without the loud exhaust and, you know, without all of the power. But still, it is one of the most unique and enjoyable driving experiences I have ever had. And you guys know I've had a lot of cars. Well, we've had our fun. Here's the radio interface, of course, Sirius XM, and the great thing is it came with it. Like, I have full access to Sirius and I'm not paying for it. Of course, it has Bluetooth, hands-free calling, and you can play your audio through here as well. It also has built-in navigation, and it looks good. The screen on this is phenomenal. Your climate control settings all right here as well, and you can choose to cut back on how cool you want to be. Right now, it's on max because it's actually pretty warm today, and you can even see that on max mode the climate is using 22% of the power generated. So obviously the more you cut back, the better fuel efficiency you're going to get. If you cut it down to eco, it goes down to 16%. If you cut it down to minimum, it goes down to 7%, 8%, 9%. There we go. It seems to have stabilized at 9%, and then you put it back on max, and again, you're at around 22%. Of course, it has heated seats. It has lane departure warning. It will literally vibrate you. It will vibrate your seat on each bolster. So if I'm crossing a line on the driver's side, my driver's side thigh vibrates. Same thing on the passenger side, it vibrates. If the mirrors detect cars coming behind me, like cross traffic detection, it will shake my seat to let me know and warn me that, hey, there's somebody back there. Also, there's this little hole in the dashboard right there. You might think that that's for a heads-up display, but you'd be wrong. That is actually collision avoidance. It's a bright red LED that flashes up on the windshield. If you're coming into somebody too fast, it's gonna vibrate your seat, and it's gonna flash that light, bright red, right in the middle of your screen, right in the middle of your windshield right there, so that you know that, hey, you need to pay attention to what's going on. So as you can see, we took the car out. I even floored it. Like, I took it out and I got on it. We're still at 33.6 miles a gallon. The car gets phenomenal fuel economy even without being able to use its batteries. It's one of the best cars I've ever driven, and that is no joke. I would happily buy this car for full price. If I didn't have this one and I didn't get such a damn good deal on it, I would go buy one of these all day long for $20,000, $22,000, $23,000. 25 is probably pushing it, but anything under $25,000, I would buy this car all day long. I have fallen in love with it. You, of course, have your memory seating, you have easy exit, you have electronic door handles in and out, but in the event of an emergency, just like a Corvette, you have your emergency door handle lever right here. Same thing on the passenger side, so you do have an emergency way of getting out should the electronics fail on this car. It is a very unique vehicle. It gets a lot of attention. People stop and they want to look at it. I've had people driving down the highway taking pictures of it. It seems that even though it's very rare and most people have probably never seen one, there's plenty of enthusiasts out there that know what this car is when they see it. And I'm going to tell you right now, this kind of rainfall headlight right here, this waterfall headlight, it is spectacularly gorgeous, guys. It lights up, and you've got the running light right here, and then it runs all the way down into the fog light. It is so beautiful. Look at these, 1, 2, 3, 4 projector lights, a running light, and then you've got your fog light / running light down here as well. The grille on the 2016 gets this ginormous, I mean, look how big this is. This ginormous crest. On the older ones, it's the old school round Cadillac crest, and it's much smaller. So you can tell the difference, if by nothing else, by the crest. If it's got a big honking nose on the front, well, that's the last generation 2016. If it's the round, smaller crest, you're looking at a 2014. It's that easy. In my opinion, it is a phenomenal all-around car for just about everything. It's got seats in the back, a big enough trunk. It's got a gasoline engine, which is great because one of the things that people hate about electric vehicles is having to stop and spend all your time charging up. Nobody wants to spend hours on a road trip charging their car. Problem solved. Remember, this is an electric car. Technically, I don't even like calling it a hybrid, but I guess it is. It's really an electric vehicle with a range extender very similar to the BMW i3. And can you take just a moment to admire the wheels on this thing? How can you look at those wheels and say that those are not slick? Those wheels are absolutely beautiful, and they make the car. Now, the performance wheels are kind of a two-tone color wheel, and they don't look nearly as cool. Most people that have a performance model end up swapping the performance wheels out for these, and I don't blame them. The wheels on this car, honestly, they make it. It really completes the car. I would never touch the wheels on this car. I think they look that good. I don't think any other wheel would fit this car or look as good on it as the original ones do. So here's my question to you. Do you consider the Cadillac ELR an electric vehicle or a hybrid? I consider it an electric vehicle, and let me tell you why. The Cadillac ELR stands for Electric Luxury Roadster. Electric. All right, at the end of the day, this car will not run on the gasoline engine by itself. It requires the use and functionality of the inverter and the high voltage electronics to drive the electric motors. This car does not have a traditional transmission or a regular transaxle. It's really a CVT style of transmission, but technically it's an electric version of a CVT. So in my opinion, it's not even a hybrid. This is an electric vehicle that has the ability to drive with a gasoline motor producing the electricity to drive the electric motors. So what is it? You guys tell me. Is it an electric vehicle with a range extender, or is it a traditional hybrid? That is something I'm sure you guys are going to argue about in the comment section below. So here's where I'm at. For $12,500, I'm going to have a very difficult time ever selling this car. I'm pretty sure it's already at the bottom of its depreciation curve, and you can't find one of these for what I paid for this car. They don't exist for $12,500, guys. So this makes a little more sense to hold on to because it's only going to get rarer and rarer. And I, believe it or not, I'm going to predict that the values on these are actually going to start going up instead of down because of how unique and how rare they are. For $12,500, it wouldn't make any sense to get rid of it when I could just enjoy the car for a while. Now, if I did decide to sell it, Carvana has already given me a 7-day guaranteed cash offer of $20,800. All I have to do is fix the check engine light. And I'm telling you, one way or another, we're going to fix that, and I have a feeling we're going to fix it for cheap. That is a crazy profit. In a week's time, I could take a car that I paid $12,500 for and flip it to a dealer for $20,000. I'm not going to lie. It's tempting. Now, before we get out of here, I'm going to ask for your help on something because somebody out there knows more about this car than I do. I noticed that it's got this big honking thing in the windshield, right? It's got a couple of sensors, maybe a camera sitting there. I don't know exactly what all of that is. And then it's got your parking sensors, of course, in the front. My question is, does this car have adaptive cruise and I just don't know how to use it? Or did this car not come with adaptive cruise at all? Because this is my collision avoidance button. And if I power on the car, yes, service high voltage system, thank you. We're gonna take you to the dealer tomorrow, all right? But right here is my collision avoidance. And if I push it, my collision alert goes down, off, and then back on again. And of course, cruise control is over here. Cruise on, cruise off, resume or speed up. Down is set and slow down. Heated steering wheel, heated seats, all of that good stuff as well. But I could have swore that this car was supposed to have adaptive cruise. Now, I do have the books in the glove box. I guess I could probably pull them all out. It wouldn't hurt to read them, but who really has time to read all of these books? I don't know. Charge point. Activate your charge point card inside. It still has it. This has never been opened. Oh, wait. Yes, it has. Hold on. Yes, it has. Dang it. Well, either way, it's still got the charge point cards inside. So, you know, if you wanted to charge up while you were on the road, I suppose you could. I don't know why you would want to, though. There's an order form. There's a lock ID card. I'm not going to show any of these. I think these are codes that aren't supposed to be shown to the public. Here's another book right here. Which book would it be in? I don't know. I really don't know. And I'm not going to spend the time right now looking through them trying to figure it out. But at the end of the day, I really thought that this car had adaptive cruise, and maybe it's just that I don't know how to use it. So if you know anything about Cadillac's adaptive cruise control, or you know anything about the ELR, please drop me a comment below and tell me I'm an idiot and explain to me how it works, because that would be really, really nice. Now, one last thing that I find really crazy about this car is it tells you its lifetime economy, and the lifetime economy on this car shows to be over 106 miles a gallon. Now, in my opinion, a car that looks this good, that's this sleek, this sexy, this looks like a relatively new car. If I can get anywhere near 100 miles a gallon, guys, I'm happy getting 34 miles a gallon out of this car running it on gas. I will drive it all day, every day, getting 34 miles a gallon. But if I can get 80 or 100 miles a gallon out of this car, you're probably looking at my new daily driver. And I'm dead serious. I will consider getting rid of my, well, my pickup truck and pretty much everything else I own, and really using this as the daily. Man, it's just so sleek. Everything about it I love. Cadillac embroidered in the lights, even in the rear tail lights. It says it right on the side, man. Where is it? Right there. It's going to be hard to see, but right there in the lights, Cadillac. And everything has this kind of waterfall effect where the lights start way up here and they flow down like a beautiful waterfall. Everything about this car I love. The handling, the power, even though it may not be fast like a Tesla, it's fast enough. And the looks, there's something about this car, guys. It just speaks to me. Now, I know a lot of you don't like hybrids, you don't like electric vehicles, I understand. And again, I'm not trying to sell you this car. I'm telling you why I love it. I love all types of cars, and this is one I didn't even know existed. It popped up on ACV auctions randomly. I was just scrolling like I regularly do, looking for any cars, and this just popped up on the auction block. I did a quick search and I was like, never would I let this car go for $12,500. I ended up winning the auction, but they didn't want to sell it. They were wanting $15,000. I declined their offer and I stuck to my $12,500, and it took about a week, but eventually they sold it to me, and here it is, my $12,500 Cadillac ELR. That's going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Stick around, because in the next video we're going to take it to the Cadillac dealer and we're going to see what they say, and hopefully they fix it for me for free, but if not, we're going to try to fix it ourselves. And if I'm right, and I think I am, we should be able to fix this thing for no more than $15. And at a minimum, the dealership may just fix it for us absolutely free. If you enjoyed this video, hit the thumbs up button, consider subscribing to the channel, drop your comments below, and until next time, stay safe out there, everybody. I look forward to seeing you all again very soon in the next one.